That's not my favorite. I like wings, but
Right.
I don't like. So,
You must not trust me to be very far away.
Yeah, probably not.
You can hear it. You can find it.
oh yeah, my wife's a vegetarian.
Hi, Christine, can you hear me? Diana, do you want to call us to order?
Sure. How would one do that?
That's it.
Okay, so done.
Let's do it. All right. First thing on your agenda is the consent agenda, which is our minutes and the agenda. Do we have anything you guys want to discuss, or can we get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented to you?
Make a motion to approve.
Give a second.
I'll second.
Any further discussion on the matter?
Very detailed minutes, Nathan. Thank you very much.
You guys talk a lot. Which is, as I said, is a good thing. All right. Moving along to old business, just a very quick update. Our annual summit, all of the details have been hammered out except for whether or not we will have a cash bar. I'm still working on that. And that is only something we've only done once before because it is our 30th anniversary, or technically last year was our 30th year. But it will be on, and I will send this out an email so you guys have it, but it'll be at the Knights of Columbus Hall on Tuesday, the 28th of April at 6 p.m. We will have a catered meal as always. I will give my annual State of the County Economy address. And then this year, we will actually have two guest speakers who will sort of be doing more of a conversation rather than a presentation. It's an attorney from Barnes and Thornburg by the name of Adam Sturwald, who has helped me in the past, and a consultant out of Columbus, Indiana by the name of Ed Curtin, and they are both experts in redevelopment projects. Along with the TAC, the Redevelopment Commission is one of the boards that has really been ramping up its work this year. And of all the boards I have, that is the only one that really said, yes, this is an idea that we like for a guest speaker. Took it to the CDC, they liked it, and reached out to the Real Estate Association. They recommended Adam and Ed, and I think it's going to be a really interesting conversation. But just so you know, so I hope you'll all be able to join us on Tuesday the 28th. The only acceptable excuse for missing is your child has a baseball or softball game. That's sort of my MO this time of year. Baseball and softball are the only good reasons to miss something. And I made a point of scheduling this around my softball announcing schedule, so I wouldn't have to miss a game. Any questions on that? Okay, moving along in old business. Last meeting and a little bit before that, we talked about this idea of doing sort of a networking event. It wasn't on the agenda, but it came up at multiple points in the conversation as we talked about collecting content from our actual tourism businesses and how some of them are not as strong with marketing as others are. And so, this is something that with a little less emphasis on some of the stuff we've been talking about that Taylor and I had done, and some of you had attended when we were first starting the TAC, and we were trying to find who might be interested and get a better pulse on things. I think that instead of just talking about it, we should try to get something on the calendar where we actually invite them. And so before we start doing that, I wanted to have a conversation here with, when and where do we want to do this? I mean, we don't want to get so deep into the season that everyone's too busy. So do we want to target April? Do we want to target May? Where do we want to do it? And then kind of the format, like do we want to target just tourism businesses to start, or do we want to open up tourism adjacent businesses like restaurants, supplies from the get-go? How much of these, how long do we want it to be? How much of it do we want it to be for networking, and what should that look like versus how much do we want somebody giving a presentation like on business marketing or business planning or something that has come up in the conversations as valuable? Christy, you've brought this up a lot. Do you have any thoughts on how we should approach this?
To be honest, I'm having a little hard time hearing you. It's giving me a lot of feedback, but I do love the idea as far as where and when we should hold it. I think before Memorial Day would be probably best for most businesses before the season ramps up and give us some ideas on how to market before our main season hits. But I did miss some of the things you just.
Okay. Sorry.
Here.
So really just kind of getting a sense of what we think like the best approach with the format is. Like how long do we want to allocate asset to give up how much time? How much of it do we want to be like, this is Susie, she's an expert on business marketing and she's going to talk to you, versus sort of like open conversation and networking. I presume we'll feed them to entice them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the education portion of it should be 30 minutes to 60 minutes, some real tactical do A, B, and C kind of things. I think the education that is too long, drawn out, and too detailed is too much for what we're trying to accomplish. So some just real easy tactical things to do in a quick setting, and even like you may get like a 30-minute education and a 30-minute of let me help you do this as an option if you want to bring your laptop. And it could be something as easy as me walking around and let me help you create a Facebook account, or let me help you show you what a reel is, or let's show you how to set up my business account, and they can have some tactical one-on-one time, and then the rest of the time could be more of that networking, getting to know each other, collaborating, that kind of time.
Anyone else have any thoughts on how we should
I
structure?
think there should certainly be a portion. I agree with before Memorial Day, but maybe, target for May to give us a chance to, when we talk about some of this stuff down here, get our own brand, get our own thoughts in order. So I think the education is super important and we'll bring people in, but when we have them, that's our chance to say, help us help you. Like we're your, county tourism board. We're heading up this campaign. Let's harvest some information from them and tell them what we can do for them to create that partnership that's going to go back and forth. So it's not all on us to do it. If we say, we're here, this is what we want to do for you, but we can't do that unless you, give us this information or graphics or fill out this form or, share out our Facebook page, however we want to package that. I think that's our chance to get in front of people and on board with what we're doing.
Are you saying kind of present what we're doing and then open it up for discussion from the audience? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like this, if we come to them with, if we do some of this stuff, kind of have our mission targeted a little bit more, say, this is what we want to do, will you be on board with us? Will you take this journey with us by sharing stuff out and giving us information so we can package it within our own campaign, like once we have our social media stuff going?
Okay.
And just by them signing up for the event, we should be able to harvest some information to keep for use in future tourism campaigns.
I think we might think through a little networking plan a little bit, and Tribe has actually done networking events before, so I think that'll work out well, because if you just set aside time for networking and say, hey, now's the time to network, nobody's going to talk.
Yeah, that's so useful because people do events at the same time, and being able to collaborate is really important. So getting all those people in a room to talk to each other and find each other, I think is good. And I do think that when you said before about who to invite, I think even from the beginning, some of those tourism adjacent places, I think it all goes together so well with once we get people in town to stay at a campground or, float the river, or do any of those tourism things. Like people need to have other things to do while they're here. So I think trying to get everyone in at the same time would be good.
Any other thoughts at this moment? Otherwise I can, back in the office, start hashing out sort of an outline that I can disseminate and we can pick apart and work towards turning into a formal plan.
About a location.
Historical Society, I know we can have it there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good because they have the screen and the projector, so the education part will be really, really easy there.
I can talk to them about that. Any other thoughts on the matter at this point before we move along? Like I said, I'll start putting something together, send it out to everybody, and we can comment, pick it apart, and turn it into a final vision for this event. Any last words on it, Christy, before we move on?
No, I'm still having a little bit of trouble trying to figure it out.
Sorry, I'm trying to work on that as I run the meeting.
Nathan, are you thinking like an over lunch type thing or an evening?
I'm open to whatever you guys think is best. My schedule can be flexible to that. And
I think it'd have to be the evening, wouldn't it? To get more people. That'd be
I would think so.
that'd be my suggestion.
Okay.
I could do either one.
Okay, we'll target that. If we're not getting a lot of feedback, maybe we just do it again and we target evening or date lunchtime, but I think we've got a kind of some parameters in place that we can work with.
The majority of the businesses that we are targeting, maybe we need to figure out what they are. Is it restaurants? Is it, what are a lot of businesses that we're talking about? What are the areas of their business? So we kind of, Jeff and Chris still, this is daytime, but if we're talking about some of these other restaurants, their peak hours are going to be dinner time. And so that might be something that we take into consideration when considering if we give this a lunch over there. Okay.
That's a good point, thanks, Christy. All right. We don't have anything, oh.
It's not an improvement, by the way, Nathan.
There.
That's better.
There we go. Now we can see her. All right, moving on to our budget on page
8.
8, thank you. I have an updated version of the working budget draft that I had provided to you. Only changes, I have not yet incorporated the influencer budget, but we had at last time agreed that, at least for now, that would be capped at 5,000 total between two, and we'll dive into that just a little bit in a minute. The only change is that based on the conversation at last month's meeting where you told me to go back to Travel Indiana and trim it some more and down to 2 quarters, that has come down. So if we approve everything that is in front of us as it is presented, we end up with either 5,600 and change or 6,200 and change, plus that 10% cushion that we set aside for unexpected costs. So just so you know, that's what we're looking at if we approve everything. If we just say no to Travel Indiana, fine with this last updated proposal from Amy, that puts another 6,000 plus in there to allocate otherwise. But that's just sort of where we are right now. On the next page, 9 is, she didn't send me a full formal proposal this time. She just emailed me the information, so I just threw it into a document based on the last conversations we had, where, as I just noted, you guys said, we just want to get something from her that would cover the 2 middle quarters of the year and be a little more digital heavier still and a little more focused. What she came back with was a second and third quarter proposal where it would be a 1-page ad with half-page ad, half-page written editorial, and then she would also throw in a nod, as you can see there in that image I put in there, to the Tippecanoe River in their water story. It would be the same in the third quarter, except for the water story. It would be 6 months of digital editorial post packaging, plus 1 dedicated email blast. That all comes out at $65.50. And she said we could just do a half page in quarter 3, bringing it down to $5,900. And all of that said, it might end up being just digital for quarter 2 and a lower price, because I don't know at this point if there is even room left in the second quarter magazine. So it might end up, if we approve it, only being like, say, 45 or 5, because we may have missed the one-page slot in quarter 2 and it would just be quarter 3.
Will that give us a better idea if digital's working better than print? You know, because, you know, if we're just doing digital on second quarter and print on the third quarter,
It might.
maybe give us an idea, if nothing else.
Is this one we're gonna discuss, Travel Indiana, right now?
Yeah, yes.
Well, I don't understand why we're still even discussing this, to tell you the truth.
Well,
Tommy, would you agree? Haven't we been hashing this out for a year?
we have.
And it keeps coming back up, and I don't know, I don't understand why.
So she asked if she could present her proposal at the January meeting for this year.
Okay,
And she did. We did not have a quorum,
okay,
so we sent her back and asked her to make some tweaks, and she
Okay.
updated it for the February meeting.
all right.
At the February meeting, we did have a quorum. They were not ready to say yes or no to the proposal at this time. Asked me to go back to her and get this. So now, that is why. So now, after those 2 meetings, they wanted this in front of them to say if they want to break the relationship, or if they want to experiment with this slimmed down half-year package instead of the year package that we used to do.
Okay.
And so that's the decision in front of you. Do we give them one more chance with this narrowed down, more focused package, or are we ready to cut ties and then figure out what to do with that extra $6,000? That's.
You guys know where I stand.
I like the half-year package better than the full year personally, but
I still think that when you open that book, there's nothing in there to see. It all blends together, it's just all mumbo jumbo. And I've been through this book many times. I think it's a waste of money.
Well, and we talked
Period.
about that last month as well. And Dave, I was kind of gearing more towards what you're saying.
Mhm.
But after having a conversation, there is a demographic that's still
Conversation with
listed
who?
Here, in this
here.
meeting.
when you're
Last month.
And this lady that
She was-
represents this is here?
No, this was the next meeting when she was not back.
Okay,
So we talked about it, and I think in talking about this magazine in particular, there is still a demographic that is looking at this magazine. And it kind of changed my mind in regards to, while yes, we want to bring that younger generation to Pulaski County and we want their kids to come here, the demographic that's looking at this magazine is bringing their kids and their grandkids here. So I think it's,
and I'm not gonna argue that what you're saying isn't true. But my point is, there is so much in there that it all gets buried amongst everybody else's stuff.
well, we brought
All of
those in. Do we still have those in here?
Sorry, the copies?
Yeah.
I have them in the office, so you can grab them.
I mean, I see them all, and I look through all of it, and I try to take the perspective of a possible, reader and that possibility from their point of view. I just don't see it's worth that much money. I really
Which is
don't.
why we minimize that down, and this heavy digital approach
Mhm.
is important as well, because that kind of gets us back into that digital.
Things that I will mention, I can't go and cut it off, I'm really sorry. Oh, I'm trying to hear, but one of the things I wanted to mention to you, you're right, we had a big discussion about this last time, and everybody knows that I am not in favor of property limit. However, we have cut the budget $3 million and put more of that budget towards online marketing. We also are putting more of that budget towards having influencers. And I think that's been a good compromise of saying, okay, we're not only cutting the amount of the ads, but we're also cutting the amount of time, ads in throughout the year, so we're doing half the year. And so I think that we've made a lot of progress. I know there's several of us that don't like traveling and I'm one of them. But we've kind of come to this compromise of like, okay, I'll cut it majorly and put that towards more modern marketing. And so, and going forward with what we do decide to market and traveling this year, I think that we should find a way of either attracting or asking people if they've heard of it, if they influence their decision, whatever it may be, and to make that decision on if we ever going to cut it completely in the next year. I am okay with moving forward with digital for Q2, and then what should have closer to Q3 for this year, knowing how much I was moving to cut this all together, if it's been a good compromise, and where that rest of that budget ended up going, I'm actually pleased with the change we have made, but I am in agreement with you. We talk a lot about travel, and I agree with you. I know you heard last week, I told them I guess you feel more cool than they do for anything else. And I feel like what I've seen is ads and not very much content. And so I'm in full agreement that with you, but I also agree that there needs to be a compromise in using the budget elsewhere in areas that are more beneficial.
I also think that we are finally, after a couple of years of getting our feet steady, we're at a point where we're going to be able to have this conversation again later this year and have a more sort of like focused process for dealing with our marketing budget than, this year we're getting it done sooner than we did last year. Hoping for next year we can actually have the conversation towards the end of this year instead of all this last minute and missing deadlines, that sort of thing. It's a process, and between you and the redevelopment commission, I'm not having much time to do my job because I just meet, prepare for meetings. But we are getting to a point where I think this is going to become more efficient as we are observing this. We're already fine tuning that, so this fall we can have the conversation, and next year it'll be a much smoother process.
I think Christy made a really good point, and then I'm thinking about what Tom said earlier. If we can track, that digital versus in, this is one of those things that we can ask people to do for us at that networking event. We can ask everyone who owns these tourism businesses, every time you have a guest check in at your campground, where did you hear about us? We can get postcards made that say Travel Indiana, Facebook, whatever the influencers person is, all these places that we're spending money, we have a card and we ask every guest that checks in at these businesses to say, how did you hear about us? And then we got a whole bunch of answers of where was a good place to spend our money.
I like that idea.
Great idea.
Great idea, but wishful thinking.
Well,
Tell you the truth.
Well, we
It's
haven't
wishful
tried it
thinking, tell you the
yet.
truth.
Would you be willing to ask every one of your tubers, how'd you hear about us?
When we have a line checking in with
Yeah.
200 people and we're trying to get
Sure.
1,100 people out in a day, no.
Well, maybe you can't do it every
No,
day. You
not
maybe
every
you can't
day,
do
you're
it
right.
every day, but I think that you can give a good faith effort for us.
Maybe we can take our CBC tour, our tent. We could just have Taylor sitting out.
Oh,
gosh.
She's willing. She's willing.
Oh, you would do that, wouldn't
So
you?
maybe people
Sit there
can't
under
do
the
it
tent
with
and she
every
can talk to
guest.
people while they're waiting, so you don't have to.
Yeah, maybe you can't do it with
No,
every
I'm not
guest.
saying
Maybe
that in
you
our
can't capture it all.
software,
Yeah.
there might be something already in there.
Maybe
for
when
that.
they're making the booking,
That's
maybe
a
you
key
can
thing.
add it
No, that's what I'm
to
saying.
your booking. Yeah,
Our
potentially
software,
could be
booking
added
software,
there.
it might already happen.
I agree with all of you, but I do also believe that most surveys are smaller sample sizes. So even if it was one of those, you ask 10 people a weekend, that's a sample overall. And if probably the came up once, I'd be surprised. But surveys are typically a much smaller sample size than asking every guest that comes to the campground or every guest who is going on the road. And so if we can even spot check that and say, I'll commit to asking 10 people 1 day a week, that's a sample size. But you are right, and it's hard to get the businesses that are not in this room to ask them second questions. We're trying to just get them to do some basic marketing and then ask them to do more on top of that. There is more, it's unrealistic, but if we can get a small sample size, even with the businesses within the room, I think that would be a success on where they're coming from.
And if we're capturing email addresses anywhere, you could do a survey by email. I mean, I get
Right.
those surveys every day. So that's a possibility too. So, but getting back to the budget, Dave and I kind of sit on opposite things. I kind of like Travel Indiana. I think it's a professional work magazine. It's traditional. Maybe that's why I like it so much. But I know a lot of people don't. But I guess what I'm looking at right now is this is late in the year. We don't have a proposal for what we're going to do other than this. So maybe I think we ought to go ahead and approve this at the lower section and look at next year. If we have an idea where we want to stick this money next year and do away with Travel Indiana, that might be a better plan.
And I think conversations about sort of having a better focus on like a brand and a message for the TAC and for Pulaski County Tourism, and data that the county will collect through the comprehensive planning process will all help us to do that, to be more targeted next year and going forward. I've got some stuff on the agenda, decent conversations Diana and I have had about talking about messaging and, having like a grand vision that we use to prioritize where we focus our marketing dollars, what type of media we use and what the content looks like, rather than making those decisions and then figuring out what our vision is. And so I think that's part of what will be better about next year's process too, is we will have worked on that. We'll have some input ideally from the community through the community engagement process in the strategic plan. And yeah, we might find between any surveys we might take of visitors and our own efforts and the county's planning process that Dave has been right all along.
I would just ask if everybody that has, even doesn't have, if this was your checkbook, personal, if this was your personal money, this $6,500 is your personal money, would you write a check to Travel Indiana to put a lost and found ad in their book?
So
That's my question.
I wouldn't.
Why are we? You know what I mean?
I wouldn't. If you're asking if it's my checkbook spending
And
my
I
money,
certainly would.
my advertising, every bit of my advertising is all social media. It's all internet based. None of it's paper
I
based.
mean,
For my business. Now,
If
I
I had
don't know
to
about
guess,
Dave. I don't,
if we
or
ask the
whoever else got
campgrounds,
something.
private campgrounds, I know, own yours, but I'm just saying, if this was our money, we're here to spend
I get it, but I see
our money.
I think is the compromise. I think it's not the full year; it's half the amount. Let's try half, and see what that's like. And
And let's try to collect some data.
Which would be their social media pages, if I'm understanding correctly, right? Travel Indiana's
I'm
social
just
media
saying,
page.
I get it, Dave. I grabbed that magazine and I just looked through the pictures. I don't read any of it because I don't really care personally.
I
look at the
did read it
pictures.
When we were looking at it last night, I caught myself like reading things, and I'm like, okay, so this compromise.
Yeah, that's me though. I don't read anything.
okay, let's just keep
I
in
can't
mind
read.
whose money we're spending. I know it doesn't feel like it's our money, but it is.
How much was it last year?
I don't have.
Was it double the amount that this
I
year?
think it was somewhere around 9,
So it's cutting it
so
a
between
third.
9 and 10. Might be able to pull up my budget spreadsheet.
It don't really matter that much. It just,
Yeah,
is it, cutting it a third, cutting it,
yeah.
So Tommy, you're happy because it's less than what it was last year.
well,
Is that, it's a compromise, so is that what we're thinking? That's why
I
it's a
guess,
good thing?
yeah. Half the amount of money, half the advertising.
I get it.
We cut it out, where are
There's
you
still
gonna
a
put the money?
demographic.
What are you gonna do?
Well, now that we've been discussing for 2 years and we
Well,
don't seem
yeah,
to accomplish
We have a
anything.
discussion, but we don't have a plan.
I know, and it just seems to me like we almost come to these meetings and waste our time.
So I do have something to say here because I'm new on this board.
Yes,
And so I'm sitting here listening. I don't think we've met before.
right?
But I, caught on to your comments earlier that we've been hashing this out. So I did not know that because I've not been on this board.
Yep.
Now you said we've talked about it for 2 years. So, what is your thought then? Totally leave
Well,
the Travel Indiana out?
Yes.
And then, okay,
especially the magazine part, yes.
okay, but then do what? Nothing, or just stick with what we've got? I just need to
No.
hear because,
I-
like I said, I'm new on this.
Yes, and last year, it seemed to me during the meetings, our focus was gonna be on social media and influencers was the path that we were taking.
Okay,
And the Travel Indiana thing, I thought was pretty much hammered out. They were gone.
okay.
And that was the impression that I had as we voted last year. I don't know
Listen, I agree.
why this is even still in discussion, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
So are you good leaving the digital part of it in there? The Travel Indiana digital?
Well, we haven't really discussed
I don't know if
isolating
that's-
those
I don't know if
things.
that's an option. I think you
I
gotta
don't
take,
think it's an
I think you
option.
got, that's part of the package, the digital.
The digital is not like a Facebook page. The digital is literally a digital version of the
Gotcha.
magazine that
They
doesn't
do-
have
they do
clickable
social
links.
mo- They won't like,
I was gonna
they
say, I
won't
thought they had
post links to store, like, they'll post a link to our editorial on their social media and they'll tag us.
I see.
Yeah.
But still one deal. Yeah. So does that answer your questions? And I don't even know who you are.
That is Anita Messer. She is
Yes,
the library
Anita
director in Francisville.
Yes,
Library for Francisville. All right.
yes, and you are,
Dave Scott.
okay,
I own Action Plumbing, Heating, and Riverside Rentals.
okay. That's good to know. Yeah, so we know, everybody knows
Yes.
that. So, I get what you're saying, and that is good history to know, because we need to know our history so we know where we're going forward, especially those that are new on board. I do agree that the digital is kind of the new way to go too, but I also understand from where I come from, there is a demographic that they don't even know how to access stuff like that. But I don't know if that impacts Pulaski County as much as the digital would. Those of you that run a campground or run rentals would know that more so than I would.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that there is a demographic that does not know how to handle the digital stuff. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, with you bringing up what you brought up, it just seems to me that the last couple of years on this board, we haven't really accomplished much.
Oh, well, we need to accomplish something, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So.
I feel what you're saying.
Tommy?
I agree with that.
Yeah, we need to accomplish
I
something.
mean, we come to these things and don't really do.
Our next meeting is just to talk about the last meeting.
Yes, we don't really accomplish anything.
No,
You guys
but-
need to
And
make
that puts
decisions.
all the
That's
work
what I
on
mean.
Nathan, I mean, those guys, and they do it all.
I know.
I didn't think that was what this was about.
Yeah.
You know, but that's what it has
But that's
turned
what they're
out to
pushing
be.
us to do now. I mean, let's make some decisions. Let's,
Even if it's not my way, we need to make some
100%.
choices.
Does somebody want to make a motion either to accept or to reject the Travel Indiana proposal?
I make a motion to accept it. I like that concept of half, or
And that's the.
Is it your money?
lower
It's
one?
the digital,
Kind
I
of.
think that's digital change
Our money.
and the ad and
Our
really
money.
is what the,
We have to be good stewards and make good decisions.
Okay, so the 5,900
We
proposal.
don't know, we don't actually know what the number will come out to.
Oh, okay,
because-
you're right. I'm.
Because of the deadline.
Okay.
So would that be, is your motion to accept this budget? Is that what you're saying?
just the Travel Indiana part
Or
of
just
it.
Just
Travel
the
Indiana
Travel
part?
Indiana. Okay, is that with the thought that, as Diana had said, we would ask people where they heard about it? And then we would take that data and decide what we
and
want
that
to
can
do
help
next
inform
year.
for next year.
And
I
if we
think.
want to do Travel Indiana,
Do away
we
with it.
will. If we don't, it's
Yeah.
gone. I mean, I think that sounds like a pretty clear path to help everyone decide where we're going.
I think so too.
And I mean, I think Dave's got an honest a thought about spending our own personal money. And you're right, it is our money.
I just think sometimes these boards have trouble thinking about that.
Yes.
Or political people in general.
I totally agree with you. Totally agree, because we're all taxpayers here. So, but I think if this board has had indecision for the past 2 years, let's make it. Let's go with it. The thought, we'll check into it. We'll see where our money was spent well. If it was not spent well in Travel Indiana, we won't ever mess with it again. How does that sound?
Beautiful.
I agree with that. We can't find concrete evidence that it works in some way, shape, or form, that it's a goal opportunity to go out there next year.
Somebody
But
want
I
to,
also think my concern is that.
Wait a second, Beth, wait a second. This motion, would you-
I'll second it. I'll second his motion. If he can repeat the motion on what exactly it is.
Tom, what are you motioning
Just accepting Travel Indiana.
to accept that?
What we
Chrissy,
got.
sorry, we didn't mean to cut you off. You want to finish that thought?
No, it's okay, it's kind of unclear, so I can't tell if I can.
It's fine.
Regardless, or, I just was saying, we can't have any concrete evidence that we're talking about next year, but also when we talk about her, when she said, what else do we do then? I may not have all the answers yet, but I do know the marketing is actually changing right now, and I know that we need to be able to move faster in what's next, or we will be marketing too late into what is the next thing, and so, that's why I'm like, this is a compromise for this year, I'm concrete evidence to move forward, next year is talking about, and we find a different way to market, I know there are other ways out there, especially with AI out there, that people are marketing differently, and like I said, I don't know the answers to that yet, but next year we will have some different solutions, we easily move that money somewhere else, but I think we'll be able to find evidence to keep it. It's changing, that's the goal.
So I do need to ask a question. When's the best time to have a plan for 27?
Right now,
Yeah,
right now.
yeah, exactly.
Pretty soon.
That's why we don't get anything done.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, all the groundwork ends up in him. That's who does all the groundwork.
And it is supposed to, you guys are supposed to.
I know that, but then, I know that we're maybe helping you with decision making, but I don't think there's enough time in the world for you and Billy to do what needs to be done, especially, and we're talking just for us.
And that's why I do hope, like what has been suggested, like that some of you can help to track the data you get from your specific customers. That is a place, because a lot of this, I mean, a lot of the work for the TAC right now that Taylor and I actually do, it's just like saying, hey, Travel Indiana, hey, Brad Con, get Dork. And, sometimes checking in with them on content, and that is also a place that we've had that conversation where some of you, if you have the time and want to be part of that conversation, when Travel Indiana comes and says, all right, what are we focusing on for your Q3 editorial and ad, you guys can help to share content ideas and or pictures so that it's not just me and Taylor doing that part.
It's
Yeah,
also
well,
a great place where the networking event comes in,
Yes.
because if we form a relationship with these businesses, they can tell us, these are my major events, these are my major things. Then when we say, what is it that we're going to advertise in Travel Indiana? We've got a great list of awesome things going on in Pulaski County to choose from, because they're feeding the information to us, and it's not just us sitting here talking about it. We've already got it.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
We can,
Hey, we made a decision, Dave.
I like it. It's about time,
Thank you for the conversation.
but I still think it's wrong.
You are certainly
Only because you want to move on.
I get it, but what I heard one
That's
time
why
is just because you believe one way don't make you right.
Oh, no, that's true.
So,
There's no doubt about that. Hey, I hear that all the time.
I bet you do. I bet you do.
All right, next page is, I forwarded this to you once Brian sent it to me. It is the concepts marketing proposal. The only, and I wouldn't say concern, because I'm not necessarily troubled by it, but the only thing that I was thinking he might include that he did not, based on our previous conversations, is that he did not propose expanding into YouTube Live TV or Spotify or anything like that. I don't know if that is a problem for any of you, or if you're okay with the fact that he is expanding onto TikTok and Instagram as well as Facebook and YouTube. I don't know if you guys want to just stick with this and see how it goes in next year, talk about maybe more money and more platforms, or if you want him to adjust this to dive into that today.
I don't think so. I think that's a good start.
Any other question, anyone of you have any questions or concerns about what he is proposing?
Brad's money is not coming out of our,
So
I'm just trying.
depending on what all comes before us, if we see new opportunities that we haven't had proposed, a little more than half of what he's proposed, I can take out of a different line item because it's not the actual like marketing publication. It is like the creation, like the actual production side of it. And I can pay that out of my professional services line item if I need to. And so we have
Then whose budget will that?
it'll still be
come out
my
of?
budget, but, so most of what we're addressing comes out of the marketing line item.
Okay.
But, so when he actually is paying for boosted posts and that sort of thing, that comes out of that. The 4,500 for like creation and management, I could pay out of the marketing line item or my professional services line item if we see a good reason to free up some of the marketing line item.
Of course, right now, we don't have it.
Yeah, we don't need
Have that
to, we
need.
don't need to do that right
Right.
now because we still have a bit of a cushion.
Right.
But if something were to come up and we say, this is like a really great opportunity, I could just pay the first couple of invoices straight out of marketing, and then something comes up, I could shift half of it to the other line item to open up room for another opportunity.
But right now, that's what his whole number is in
Yes.
the budget.
Yes.
Okay. That's cool.
When Brad talked to us, he indicated it wouldn't be a problem, but I would like to make sure that for this content creation and management, that we have access. I would like us to have all the copy, like a post bank, and all the assets that it's linked to, because all the work that he did for us last year, how much of it exists in our own files? Like, we wouldn't be able to say, there was a really great post about, Tippecanoe State Park last year. We should post that again. Well, we don't have it. He made it, and maybe he would be able to get it to us, but I think we need to have that, Google Drive account, and we need to own this stuff so that we can do some, own our own things and do them when we want as well, not always pay someone else to do it.
That's for sure.
One of the things that I would like is, every time we have one of these meetings, have the analytics of what, how many views we got, how many shares we got, how many comments we got.
Yeah.
So we can see which platform is doing it better than the others, what type of content is doing better than the others. We should be able to have all of those in reverse. And I would like to see those so that we can make adjustments as needed.
Okay, I'll make sure to talk to him about that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Any other,
Two good points.
any other questions or comments? Otherwise, does somebody want to make a motion to approve this?
I make a motion that we approve this. The Brad
I'll
Collins.
second that.
Any further discussion on the matter? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, great. Next on the list, great news. That's the Ideas in Motion. That's in Northwest Indiana, the digital stuff. They do a mix of profiles and on-site reporting of events. Last meeting, when we had talked about them, you guys asked about what some of the data that they had presented addresses. That 110,000 is the number of Facebook followers they have. They have following audiences across other platforms and sites, 16,000 plus on Instagram, 38,000 plus on the platform formerly known as Twitter, 8,000 on LinkedIn, and 187,000 unique monthly website visitors. They don't track like the data as much as we might like as far as like people who are reading articles about us, where they're coming from, but they were able to tell us that the Valpo component of their page is mainly Valpo and Chesterton and Portage. Their broadly Northwest Indiana page, a little bit of Chicago, and a lot of Lake County. Their Portage page gets Portage, Chesterton, Valparaiso traffic. LaPorte County gets a lot of traffic from South Bend, LaPorte, and Michigan City. So we're stretching with them across our platforms. We're stretching basically from the state line a little bit into South Bend. That's where people visiting their media, and their main demographic audience is women aged 35 to 44, followed by men in the same age range. Soccer moms and dads, chamber moms and dads are how they describe it.
That's who makes the decisions.
And
Oh, yeah.
so with that, as I said, I've always felt they've been a great partner. I like what they offer. I like that they actually come here, but it is a significant amount of money. We have a content call with them just before the contract is up for renewal, and Diana is going to be part of that. I would like to have a decision from you guys today, just so that we're not crossing the same deadline issue again that we were running into in Tribal, Indiana, rather than having a meeting, telling them we need to wait. So what I am asking today is that you either approve it now, say, no, we don't want to do this, or authorize me and Diana to make a decision based on how we feel that conversation goes, so that we can get things, the contract renewed as long as it's ready. You guys are in charge, you do not have to abide by that, but that is my request, just so that we can keep moving and not come back and meet again, yet just to decide if we want to approve this component of the budget. And if
What was the
Diana
price,
has-
what was the price on that?
It's, so that one is estimated because there's usually a little bit of a price jump in September. But it's somewhere around 11 or 12. And we can talk to them about if there's a way to like reduce what they do to reduce the cost a little bit. I don't know how much flexibility there is in that.
How much was that price again?
Ideas and motions.
11 to 12.
That's it.
That's the idea of the motion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, for April.
And if you choose the route where you give me and Diana the authority, if we disagree, she's the president, so I will defer to her.
I mean, I will say the reason, part of the reason I asked to be a part of the conversation is because the list of items that I thought were highlighted didn't do justice the amount of money that was being spent. I'd like this board to have more of control about what those items are that get advertised. And I want to ask questions like, are you going to link businesses? Are you going to link back, on every one of these ads they did for us last year, they linked Nathan's economic development page, which is nothing. If you want to visit Pulaski County, why would you need to go to that economic development site? So I want to have that conversation that says, how are you going to better connect people to actually coming to Pulaski County for the reasons we want them to come here?
To their credit, we have historically had a lot of input in what they do cover. It's just that it's been tailored. I mean, we've never had the TAC or had the TAC stabilized and engaged enough to do that. But we can absolutely do that. When they reach out and say, what do you want us to cover this month? We can absolutely share that with the TAC as opposed to just making that decision in the office. All of you or just a few of you who want to be part of that, but we can solicit that input every time they're looking for it.
And that networking event, and not just the networking event, but the community foundation calendar that we're engaging more with is going to help inform all of that stuff. We can look at that calendar and ask Great News to look at that calendar and say, you see what's going on here. And so we can all sort of come together on it more. So there's just more information being shared in
Simon
general.
Vernon, have you connected with the community foundation? I know you have everything you guys do on the state's webpage for it today, but is getting all of those events on their calendar now that they've got it up and running?
We do have some of our major events on their calendar, yes.
So any further thoughts on this? Do you want to hold off on the decision? Do you want to say yes, no, or leave it to me and Diana?
How many board members have gone to Great News, whatever, and actually literally went in here and to see what they offer?
I was just gonna say.
I follow them and on
Other than you,
Facebook.
because
Yeah.
I can tell that you did. Who
I'm
else
not-
has?
I'm not educated enough on this.
Nobody.
I've never heard of it.
I'm
But,
saying
I
that
mean,
we
the
can't make
data-
a decision right now
The
then.
data looks successful, but I'm not educated enough on giving an opinion on it.
Yeah,
So
me either.
I would trust Nathan and.
I just
Dana
went on to try to figure out, you know what
to
I
have
mean?
that
And
conversation.
I'm like, I don't know anything about it.
And get more information.
I agree. I agree.
I have gone to some of the articles just because of the ones that covered at the park.
Right, Pulaski County has like its own profile on that website.
Yeah.
So then it lists all the editorials they've done.
Mhm.
So
So
they
my homework will
actually,
be to do more research and look into them, but I trust that you guys will have a conversation with them and get more information to make a determination.
there's been some events we've had at the park where they have actually sent, a reporter and a photographer down
Like the
there.
Easter egg leaves
And-
they send out.
Yeah, and they've had some nice articles up here, but
Mhm.
again, I'm only looking at the ones for the park. I haven't been looking at any of the rest of these.
We'll start looking at all of them.
Okay, and of course, from my point of view, I look at the list they did last year. Float into fun at Riding Sun Campgrounds. You're all sitting here thinking, that could probably make Dave not very happy. How does this get developed when they're going to, because quite frankly, Riding Sun Campground is the only business that's mentioned on these things. How does that take place?
I agree with Dave.
Instead
too.
of Riverside Rentals that does what we do, Rising Sun obviously is our competitor, kind of. How does this get determined?
That's a good question. That's a question that I asked too. And that's something that Nathan and I had a conversation about rather than, there's
How
not
does
really a
this-
system.
Nathan, how does
So,
that get determined?
Hold up. There's not really a system right now. That's why I think that one of the things the TAC needs to do is open our doors to people to come to us so that if there are, all the businesses that do floats can engage with us.
Yes, a
and we
story
can
about
engage
floating
with
the
them.
river would be one thing.
Exactly.
But to
Exactly.
specifically bring out, even if it's our business, it would still be wrong.
And I feel that about all these, when you see like the golf course one, like I would want to make sure that both the golf courses are in there.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's good that this board talks about taking more control over the content and making it our due diligence to make sure that we're engaging both the golf courses, both the float places, all five of I don't know how many exactly of the campgrounds there are. I think that is something that we should be aiming to do so that nobody, because I've said the same thing before. I've said, I had an event going on that didn't get shared on the Facebook page. Like, what does an organization have to do to get heard? And that's a question that we don't want people asking. We want to have our tourism doors wide open to say, you want to get yourself out there, we want to help put you out there. So, but that process has to start by having a place for people to fill out forms or give us their information or connect with us at a networking event so that they have that opportunity to tell their story to the Pulaski County Tourism
in my
Board.
opinion, the money that we spend should never include a business name. As one business, you know what I mean?
I got it. Yeah.
Like
I
this
fully
does.
support
It
that.
should be the floating businesses or the restaurants or the people that have Airbnbs, it should never be. When you look at Travel Indiana, there was businesses listed in their ads.
So this is-
Specific businesses.
I think
And
this
I
is
just think
another
that's
back end
wrong.
thing that if we have our tourism website that has a tag that says lodging, and we give every business in Pulaski County that lodges people the chance to list their business there, then the next time we go do an ad in any publication, or if it's digital, then there's the link to our tourism website and every lodging place is listed and they all get highlighted rather than having to choose which one do we highlight. We get them all together in one spot so that people can make their choices.
Dave, to answer your question specifically about that, it wasn't that we picked them over you for the river component. They were doing a profile of the campground and highlighted that it's not just a campground, it's a campground that does events and also provides river access.
Okay, so why did their campground get picked? Why didn't?
Because we've done
State Park
the
other one
They
even.
do coverage of the state park, and I think we've done 2 articles on Rising Sun.
And
I'm sorry, on Acorn Oaks. I think we did a profile with them when Bill and Christy first bought the place, and then we did a second one a couple of years later.
Didn't they do one on Riverside Rentals too, though?
I have no idea.
I believe they did.
So my
Again, with
question
tracking
would
the
be-
spreadsheet.
My question would be, since I had never heard of greatnews.com, how do we even let people know that this is where to go? How do they know that there's even a greatnews.com?
I mean, when they put out their articles, they do tag us in it and they'll send us an email too, so that we can also share it on our social media, so that.
Okay.
we can go from there.
But I'm assuming they have a decent sized following regardless.
Yeah,
Don't
I
they?
think,
I mean, I would
so.
assume.
We did float your cares away on the Tippecanoe River with Riverside Rentals, but that was back in 2019. But we did profile these guys.
But this is more of a news magazine, so they're doing events. So they're not really there to advertise all the businesses. They're gonna say, hey, Rising Sun's got a new management, so we want to highlight.
Yeah,
that.
but it is.
Or you're doing
okay, so
something.
that-
Yeah.
So there is some, so like I said, when Christy and Bill bought the campground and started turning it around, we did a profile on that. When Tippy's moved to their newest location, we did a profile on them. I think we may have done one on the Mercantile years ago. Like, it is a combination of businesses that are either new or have new owners or have celebrated something or made an improvement and event coverage.
So if you miss that, you're out, because like Tom Miller just bought 2 Airbnbs in Winnemac, he's out, because that was 2 years ago. Right?
I mean,
You
that
can't say-
content is still there, and we can go back and pull it from the website and share it.
I'm not saying no, I never have had no opportunities to be part of, hey, new Airbnbs coming to Winnemac, Tom Miller, whatever.
I see.
because that was a couple years ago, and I haven't bought any since, so I won't.
But it is a mix, but like.
It was just a question.
Like the one on Rising on Rising. That's not like that was just, we want to do a summer profile thing. So, well, this is a campground, so it's a place to stay. I don't know if we've actually done Broken Arrow with them. We've done Acorn Oaks a couple times. And not only is it a campground with the normal amenities, but they have river access. So this would be a good thing to highlight this time. A lot of it, it's like month by month. They say, hey, what do you want us to focus on this month? And so we just have to have a conversation. Like, what makes sense this time of year based on which attractions are most active, going to be most interested, and we haven't covered recently, or whose competitors we've already covered. So that is mixed up.
So they contact you?
Yes.
I was gonna say,
They
so
check in.
that's the process.
They check in,
You
and then we in
It's
the office.
still-
or your office
Would they
decides what
contact
goes in
the
there.
president then? Is that what I'm hearing?
It doesn't have
So
to
if Diane is saying, that,
It
for
doesn't
us
have
to
to
be
be me.
more engaging and things, would they not contact the
Well,
president?
they would contact me, and I can like solicit input from all of them, as opposed to putting all of it on me and Taylor. That is a place where the TAC can be helpful outside of saying the meetings is, hey, it's July. They want to know what kind of content. What are you here? I might have an initial conversation with them saying, let me go talk to my board. All right, here's what we were thinking. What do you guys think? There's something else you want to tack in sometimes, depending on what it is, we might be talking about, like, say, the Pulaski lights in December, and we'll tack in. If you happen to go down, say, on Saturday or Sunday or whatever, you can check out Bill Singer's Museum, and don't forget to get dinner at Bill and Dave's, or to head up to Winnemac to get a tenderloin at Jack. So we will also do that, and you guys can even help with that. It's like, all right, we think that focusing on the Panhandle pathway to good. What do you want us to mention in this article about the Panhandle things to do? Or you should come visit the state park. What do we want them to come do when they do state park?
And I know I bring this up after every time we say something, but if we have the infrastructure to have the back end website where if only one of the however many campgrounds, or if one business happens to get a mention, but if the entire article directs everyone to go to our tourism website, it will have the opportunity for them to see everybody and everything, not just, oh, well, this campground might actually be closer to what I'm doing, but then we can eat at this restaurant, or then we can float down the river. We have to have all of the supporting materials in place. If even one thing brings a person to look at our tourism website, we've got to have everything there for them to also look at. We're missing opportunities by not having that.
So go ahead.
So with great news, what I'm kind of hearing is at the moment, we're using it more as a press release for current things happening.
That is what their MO is.
Yes.
That is how they are.
Okay.
Which I think is great, and I also agree with that, having that website and back end.
Yeah.
And all of us here, and even though maybe one or two specific businesses are being highlighted in the press release. And I think we need to be doing, is there a limit on how many we put in there, or should we be putting in more businesses more often? Because there's always stuff going on, all kind of things are changing, adding, growing, new businesses coming, online. So is it a way for us to increase the frequency of it, or is it a one year kind of thing?
I think this is a pretty representative sample that they did 13 articles last year. There's probably some variation depending on what we have going on, whether, like, there have been probably a couple times where, like, we're just too swamped in the office to sit down with you. We're not going to do this August or whatever. I don't know that there's a lot of room for adding a number of articles. I will note, as I said, they also, like, they have a calendar where even if they're not doing an article on something, they'll make sure that, like, the Easter egg hunt at the state park is highlighted, even if they're not doing an article on it. But I think there's probably, if nothing else, Christy, some room for us to work with them to tailor each article so that it's got 2 or 3 focuses, or maybe one main focus, but as I was suggesting, we can also mention a couple of other things. Hey, you're coming down to Madeiraville in October to ride in the crane cruise. Don't forget to get breakfast at a Need a Cup of Coffee, and make a long weekend of it, and just shoot 20 minutes down the road to Acorn Oaks. Like, we can probably be more conscientious of mentioning more attractions in an article, even if there's one that is the focus. but I don't know how much room we have with like adding to the sheer number of features they do. But we can ask that question.
I think another thing,
Right.
And so I agree with, increasing the frequency of, trying to get everybody, highlights, but at the same time, it takes away from what that business is doing or did.
Sure.
And it's kind of like a press release of here's what's going on, by including everybody. And then it just becomes a running ad and it takes away from what we did.
I was just, I guess I'm going to correct myself because I think a lot of times these are, the press coverage is of the event that already happened. It's not, we're not bringing people to the Easter egg hunt park. This is what happened at the state park. So I think it ties in very good with what Diane said. We need to have that,
Infrastructure.
If that's the
Come here.
case, then that $11,000 is almost wasted, is it not?
well, and that's.
Because our budget is to bring people here. That's the point.
Well, yeah, and it might, but, we'd have to need what Diane was saying. You got to have that on the end, that tourism link. Because you come here for other things, if you see something great going on here. So
Nathan,
I
is
just want to
that,
say.
I don't know. They did 13 last year. Is it, so it's not pre-set up, we're gonna get for $11,000. We're not gonna get a certain amount of, how is it determined?
I think that the number is pretty, I think that's kind of about once a month.
Around once a month. So around 12 is.
I think we certainly have some room to like sculpt, like maybe to say, we want to do less of the on-site because that is after the fact and more of the profiles, more of the events. Maybe instead of bringing them down to the Easter egg hunt and getting pictures of that and saying, oh, this happened and it had a great turnout, we're going to do a profile of State Park, but instead of focus on the amenities, we're going to do like an article focusing on all the things you can come to, all the special events they put on during the course of the year to do. So like, I think we have some room to have that conversation and say, look, we love that you cover X, Y, and Z, but we would rather you like cover it in advance so people know about it. And instead of saying, I mean, you get some really cool pictures and it's great, and maybe people know about it for next year, but
Wouldn't that be up to us to initiate that?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think we can have that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, a press release can be for something that hasn't happened. I mean, a group I'm with, we have our Art in the Park event in May, and we put press releases out, well before.
Sure.
So I think that we can do that. We can make sure that they know. We don't want this to be reported on after the fact. Like we're switching our tactic, our strategy here, and make sure that they're on board with what our mission is for people to know about events before they happen and get people to come here for those events and get interested in what else we have going on here.
So Diana, you are going to be on the call with this, so you can let them know that. Okay.
So how do you want us to proceed? Do you want to wait to make a decision until after we have that call and just say deadline, spreadline? Do you want to say yes now? Do you want to say no now? Or do you want to give me and Diana that?
When is your phone call?
The 9th, I believe.
Of April? Because the first ideas and motion is from April to October. So are we going to miss April?
So it's mid-April. So if we have an answer to them by like that conversation, we say you're good to keep going, we'll be fine. But if we don't, then we might miss April. And if we need to come back and meet again to get a report from me and Diana and Kayla and then make a decision, then we might miss April. We might not if we get a meeting. It's going to be tough to get a meeting in April after that date because I've got other meetings I have to fit into the calendar and a lot going on.
We're not the only
Could
ones.
we do an email conversation?
If we're gonna do something soon after that call, it's like, what are we gonna do it on? We need to have our idea teed up is basically what it comes to. If we're gonna run tight on the deadline, then we probably need to know what we want to do before we even go into this call so we can make that a part of it.
I keep a whole big desk calendar that I go through the weekend, write every event or anything that any business is doing throughout the whole entire month. So I mean, we can also look at that because I try to update it like 4 times a week.
Or, I mean, I know like Mother's Day weekend has a lot of stuff. The big car show is Mother's Day weekend. Art in the Park that we're doing
Yeah.
is Mother's Day weekend, and the library usually tries to do something too. So there's a big opportunity
And
for
like,
that.
honestly, if Diana and I can make that decision on that day, we could say, hey, the first thing we want you to cover under the new contract is Mother's Day in Pulaski County. I mean,
That's Saturday, May 9th.
So, and then the only other thing that we have is this influencer, correct, that we have to discuss?
Well,
I'm trying to
Yes.
see all of the
Yes.
options as far as marketing.
And we've got room for the influencer in the cushion without even cutting anything else in this.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion that we go forward with this with Nathan and Diana on the phone call with them and give them the option of making that decision after talking with them, asking the questions that Diana's gonna be asking and heading off. And then we go forward. That's my
and
motion.
yeah,
I'll second.
Any further discussion on the matter? All in favor, signify by saying aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We will go ahead and do that. And the last thing we have, so we have a couple of pages in your packet that we had already gotten from Indiana Hannah that covers services she offers, some log traffic data. But you also have, like Taylor just got this morning, an actual proposal from Indiana Hannah that would come in slightly under the $2,500 cap we set at 2030. And you can see that on the third page of that packet, it breaks down the deliverables. Obviously, between the $470 gap between this and our cap and our cushion, if we want more out of it, we can take that back, but we do have a proposal from Indiana Hannah. My only concern is that, and it's sort of up in the air, but with some examples that she gives, I know that we wanted specifically to talk about seeing if we could get her, sorry, the next page actually is a sort of sample itinerary. We talked about wanting to get one of the influencers here during the power show. So that's something we may want to take back. You can see that the one she's lined up, she would start at the Main Street Bakery for donuts and then go hiking or the river at the state park, and then get lunch at Tippy's and do, enjoy it at the Winnipeg Town Park, and then go fishing at the Fish and Wildlife area, and then get dinner at Cabana's, and like ultimately what the itinerary looks like is what we tell her to, but that gives a sense of how many things she would pack into a day and what they would look like. Do we want to give Taylor, we say Taylor, go ahead and say yes? Is there any further instructions we want to give to Taylor to take back to her about what we want in that itinerary?
This is one day.
Yes.
I just gave her a list of the different pieces.
Yeah.
Pulaski County, Flat Creek County, just to give you guys a sample to look at.
So yeah, so we've got room to adjust that. We've got room to add a little bit more in with the money, with what you have already approved as a cap.
All these companies, do they have to, do they provide the food? She don't have to pay for it? Is that how that went? Because I thought you talked last time about
Yes, I believe so.
they have to provide it all for free and,
Yeah, because we talked about it with the air.
yeah. She's not staying then, right? She's coming?
No, and I asked her about that, but since it's not like that far away, because I asked her about overnight, she said that they may just be day trips. But if it was like an out of state, then you can't do overnight, so we could find a different influence and possibly do like an overnight.
Gotcha.
So for this final rate, this $2,030, is that one trip to Pulaski County for the year?
One
that
trip
what
for
that
one
is?
day,
Yeah.
right?
One day.
Trip, one
Comp,
Right.
if you look at the page of
those
bottom,
shares are lasting.
bottom of page 4, I think that she builds the cost of like food into our bill rather than like expecting. So she would pay for it and we would end up basically reimbursing her costs as part of her invoice.
That's on top of that amount?
No, so I think that's part of the way I read it. So that 2030 is going to include her travel time. It's going to cost like any cost she incurs. So it might actually be 2180 if I'm reading it correctly, but Like, we're not gonna go, hey, Jack's or hey, Tippy's, you need to comp her meal. I think she's gonna cover it and then she's going to add that into her final index.
And she gets to pick where she eats and what.
I think we have,
We have discretion over that. I just told her to pick from that list just to give us an example.
Okay, so how then do we decide where she's gonna go?
I love this idea, I love all of this. However, my only thing that like, all of her activities are outdoor activities that are not small businesses. And so, and I don't have the answer of what would be best, was there a way to mix that up? And I mean, like, how much can she do a cute little, retail?
She does do that too.
At some of the places, and I find it one of these activities, but both of them happen to be
sure.
outdoor, not small.
And I think we can, Taylor can make sure to emphasize that we want a little more diversity. And maybe if she's gonna get lunch at Tippy's instead of getting dinner in Winnemac 2, she ends the day on the west side like she started it and she swings by the patio at the end of the day or something. Or maybe she gets a cup of coffee from Jeff when she stops in the Mercantile.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of options, and we've talked about having more than one person, so that might be where we end up having to go, because you can't do it all.
Right.
And we might do, if this person and this influencer in particular is focused on like the family friendly and stuff with her kids, then maybe, we find someone who is just like has a slightly different audience, and maybe, that's one that's better for doing the fishing activity, is one where it'd be more, people interested in
Well,
that.
that page, it says she's more outdoor focused and toddler friendly, so I mean, that's what she's gearing towards, but we could find somebody else, and even if we find another person that wants to do the overnight stay, to highlight the accommodations too.
But I do think that even if she is more outdoor friendly, getting one of our, just to highlight, what are you gonna do? Okay, great. You got these great state park and you've got these great fish and wildlife areas and the panhandle and golf courses and paintball and the river. What do I do if I come to Pulaski County and it's raining? And so I think like if she gets breakfast, if she gets donuts in Dairyville and shoots down to the Mercantile before heading over to Winnemac, I think that could better highlight more of the county, get her into 3 of the 4 towns, and show both outdoor and indoor.
Will this be the first time this county has ever used an influencer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a pilot
I
for us.
love it so much.
So this would be a good time for us to see if this will work.
Yeah, and last month you approved 2 of them at 2,500 max. Maybe we hold off on that second one until we get Indiana Hannah here. And if we don't feel like, maybe we try a different one, maybe we don't do it, maybe we don't, but I think it's a great pilot. I mean, she's got a big following. This is modern marketing.
My question, so I know that she's paying for,
This really is, this is great, and her content is fabulous, she's professional, she makes things look very genuine. And I want to keep it as authentic as possible, so we don't want to do it by trying to make her mention everything in the county. I just wanted to maybe see if we can switch up on the activities so that we can include more small businesses.
why can't the people that are, which she's going to Poblanos, why can't they donate the food? I
We
mean,
can have that conversation with them.
I know it's only a couple $100, but if you're gonna be the one that gets mentioned,
Oh, there's no doubt about
I
that.
mean, it'd be worth, me throwing the $25 down,
Yes.
I would assume. Or a free donut or coffee, maybe you can, afford a cup of coffee to give to her.
Right.
We can
Maybe a free day to go into the state park. Heck, Vernon might pay that $7.
We can definitely have that conversation. With them, but, I mean, at the end of the day, our main objective is just to highlight the county, and yes, we can't have her cover everything, and we can't have her cover too much, or it's gonna feel diluted, so, but we're gonna have multiple influencers, and we can make sure that it is different places so more people get exposure. So I don't have a problem with us covering those costs. I'm not opposed to having those conversations and saying, hey, would you give her a free donut because you're gonna get free publicity that that Anita Cup of Coffee isn't gonna get on this trip. Just because.
Exactly.
That 49,000 people on TikTok.
So we can have that conversation, and if they say no, who cares? We're still highlighting something that brings people to the county, but if we can't get it, great.
I guess, I like it, obviously, it's highlighting state park, so that's
No, of
nice.
course.
But
Right.
I'm also thinking, I guess, a little bit, maybe I'm being selfish about that, because, at State Park, we've already put, some money towards, advertising in the hunting guide and the fishing guide. But I also know that she's wanting to advertise, or she's wanting to participate in those type of activities for her website. That's why she chose it. She likes those outdoor activities. She likes the ones that can bring in, she can take her kids to. Because this,
Yes.
94% of her audience is female. And most of them are in that age where they're going to have children. So that's why she's wanting to go into this area. But then again, on this board, do we want to put that money here, thinking that's bringing people to this county? Or do we want to highlight with this money areas that are more of a cross-section of the county that we're trying to advertise?
So I think personally, I would want to keep the state park before the fish and wildlife area. And then maybe focus on something like the Mercantile or one of the resale shops or something, so that we are covering both that inside thing and that outside thing. And I think probably the Mercantile rather than say Refined or Mina's, just because A, that's adding another town to it, and B, with the Mercantile, you're getting, like, how many vendors are there right now, Jeff? 8. So you're getting like 8 different vendors, including a place where you can get breakfast or lunch, as opposed to just one vendor. And we could always do Mina's or Refined at a later date with a different influencer, but I think something like that, where we are as geographically diverse as we can possibly be in the course of one day trip, and showing multiple types of activities is probably ideal.
So, me personally, I don't follow anybody like that. I'm not into like influencers and stuff, but obviously there's a lot of people that are, and that is the way to go. And so I think for this to be our first time to do that, I think the $2,000 would be well spent, since we are trying to move forward and get something done, see how it goes. And if it doesn't go well, then we'll put that on the chopping block again, too. Just like Travel Indiana, we got to start somewhere, right? If it doesn't work, it's gone. If it works great, then we'll keep at it and we'll get more. That's my thoughts about it.
Is that a motion to tell Taylor to take this
Not
feedback?
necessarily, it was just my comment. I just want to see what other people had to say.
So I honestly don't, I'm more like her. So like, we don't own any of this stuff, or I mean, obviously that we can purchase the rights for the proprietary for,
Yeah, that's included.
okay, I'm sorry,
And
perfect.
that's in the 2030.
Okay, that's better, thank you.
All content creators, you have to realize that when you're engaged, you know, whenever we follow people like this, if you follow anyone who goes anywhere, a lot of them engage and do so. I also think that even if this one doesn't go well, I think because it's one individual, I think that we should at least give, 3 tries.
I agree.
Oh, I agree with
Yeah,
that, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like we should accept this one and start working on because we're coming up to our season, so I don't want to,
I can
I
help
don't
with
want
the
to
next
do
one.
this and wait.
Is that your motion, Diane?
Yeah, I don't know, motion to move forward with Hannah and Taylor
Where we're
still
gonna go.
tee up the next one.
Same
I don't want to
numbers,
wait
Scott's
until
right.
our experience with Hannah is complete
But-
to start the
All
next
right.
one. You know what I mean? Let's get it going.
Do you want in that motion that we're going to try to diversify the activity here?
But we should participate in those choices.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
And when would she be coming? Does anybody know?
What's
We
good?
have to have that conversation, because like I said, I just wanted to have this guys, or just
Gotcha.
put out,
Okay.
so you guys could look at
But
it.
it's also gotta be arranged, like, she's not gonna come on a Saturday when it's pouring down rain.
Right, and
Or she's
that's
on
what
the
I was
second.
thinking, even if there's maybe an opportunity to have her here while there is some big event going on in Pulaski County, maybe that could be one of the things that she highlights.
Do we have a second to Diana's motion?
Second it.
Power from the past.
Or the fair, yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right.
All opposed, same sign. Cool. All right. The rest of the agenda, new business, is talking about like brand, campaign, mission, vision, slogan. Diana's brought this up a couple of times. She and I discussed it as we were meeting before we met with, Lee and I just talked about the community calendar. We have been in session for an hour and 19 minutes, so I'm going to defer to all of you how much you want to spend talking about this right now versus taking it back to chew on and having a follow-up conversation later. But like, I think there's a lot of good value in doing this, like, as opposed to having these drawn-out conversations about every single, I mean, I think every year we're going to have a little bit of conversation based on the individual components of each proposal, but coming together and actually having a Pulaski County tourism vision, like what our brand is, what our messaging looks like, will help us, as Diana suggests, to have more effective conversations and more effective processes for generating content, soliciting content from our local businesses. But for now, these are the things that I think that all need to be part of that. I think honestly, the two most important things for today that I would like not to waste time on are, we're going to I'm going to ask our website host to set up a new email for us that is specifically for tourism. And so as simple of a thought as it is, like what that should be. Should it just be something like tourism@PulaskiOnline.org, or should it be like visit Pulaski? And then right now our tourism Facebook page is just Pulaski County, Indiana. And it obviously needs to be something less nondescript that actually makes it clear it's a tourism page.
Yeah, I like Visit Pulaski. That sounds good to me.
I
Which
feel
one?
like this is
Visit
an
one,
visit
opportunity in
Pulaski.
itself, all of these.
Yeah, well, it is. But I wanted them to be on the radar.
I mean, it could even just be like visit@PulaskiOnline.com, and that just keeps it super generic. So if we ever have a motto or a slogan or put something out there, it's not going to interfere. If we keep that email address, just the most basic that signifies it's a tourism address, then I think that keeps it.
Visit Pulaski. Any thoughts on those two very small ones, or any other ideas you want to throw out there? And then,
Is there going to be any confusion, because I know there's different Pulaski counties around the country? Do we want to have it?
Pulaski IN?
Yeah.
IN.
That's true, because even on Facebook, sometimes we get tagged and stuff for Pulaski.
that is
Kentucky, yeah.
Unfortunately, that is something that is an issue beyond like our website. Like, we get calls to the clerk's office, people who have court in Pulaski County, Missouri, calling the Pulaski County.
Yeah, we get that with the farmer's market too. I don't think it's going to happen enough that we should complicate the email address.
During
to try
COVID,
to-
when we got a grant from the state to make small business COVID relief grants, I didn't just get a call, I got a fully prepared application from Pulaski County, Arkansas. And I wrote back, hey man, I'm so sorry that you're the wrong.
But you could have proceeded, and there we go. That was fraud. Can you imagine how much?
So just visit Pulaski.
Last guy in IN.
Okay, I will set that up. And then any thoughts on what to do about giving the,
Wait, hold on. Visit Pulaski IN. Is that what?
Oh,
Well, I just,
say adding
that'll have two I's in a row.
That's-
Like
that-
it's gotta be simpler than that. I can't.
Is-
Like, visit Pulaski.com.
that,
I mean, it can't, I just don't think we need it. I don't
Just
think
visit.
it's that confusing. I think it's visit at, I mean, do you get it that often that it's gonna hinder people with the
I think
wrong
it's-
Pulaski? Just for the sake of it
And it's
being
gonna be on the
simple.
website. So if they have found our website and then found that email address,
It's on me on there.
and they can't
Yeah.
figure out which Pulaski/Pulaski County it is.
We probably don't want them coming here anyways.
We're not gonna go that far, we'll still take the money, but
Okay.
visit at.
That's what I
Simple
think.
Clean.
I'll say, oh.
Good.
And then what do we want to do about the Facebook page?
Does that cost us money?
No, we just need to change the name.
Yeah, it just says Pulaski County, Indiana. I think that like I work with a group, Pulaski County Tribe, and we do a lot of tourism adjacent things. And what we say is play in Pulaski County. I have said, I think we should start there. I think that it's something that's actionable. It's alliteration, which I think is fun. And we don't have to keep it
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, or
forever.
it's-
Like if play in Pulaski County is the base campaign, it's easily spins off to shop in Pulaski County, eat in Pulaski County. If the title of our campaign is play in Pulaski County, then we can just talk about all the things you do in Pulaski County. And it signifies that this is a tourism purpose. It's not just Pulaski County, Indiana.
You guys agree with that? You want to wait and chew on it? You got other suggestions? We don't have to change it today, and once we do change it, if it doesn't feel right, or if it doesn't,
We can change it
you
again.
can change, I think,
Yeah,
you
I
can wait
mean-
30 days and then you can change the name. So it's nothing we're stuck with. If it doesn't work.
I feel like we
it
just need to
doesn't work,
start moving in a direction. And I mean, the Pulaski County Tribe, we've done a lot of stuff with Plain Pulaski County. We have graphics, like I don't know what colors and stuff people want, but we've already done a lot of this stuff. And we would be absolutely thrilled for all of the stuff we've been doing over the years for the county to be like, yeah, we'll support that. It doesn't have to be through us. It doesn't even have our name on it. But we've been doing that Plain Pulaski County for a few years now. And it seems to work pretty well.
So Diana, would you like right now when I do like hashtags on the different posts or whatever, I use like simply Pulaski just because that's been there forever. So like Plain Pulaski, would that be something?
I think that would
to use
be-
as a hashtag too, because like I didn't
Yeah.
use it before, but I thought about it.
You should. You should do it.
Electric view?
So should we try it with Play in Pulaski and see how it feels, see if we get any feedback?
It's fine.
I think it sounds good.
Fine.
I think we should do it. Yeah. It could be changed back.
Playing Oscar somewhere else, right? Is that?
The Pulaski County Tribe is using that here locally.
But it's not like our own, that's not like our organization's slogan or anything like that. Just when we are doing events and stuff in Pulaski County, we put that hashtag with it. It's not like a,
People are gonna look for stays at Play at Pulaski, like places to stay at Play at Pulaski. I was asking. I mean, I get Dave Scott's thing, Play at Pulaski, that would work out great for the river stuff.
For sure.
Just asking, I don't know.
well, I think it works for staying at places too. If the name of the campaign is Play in Pulaski County, it's like, well, if you're gonna come here and play, then you're gonna need a place to stay.
And
I think it's all.
tourism in general, which we're all here to engage in, is about playing here.
Yeah, I think
Is
so.
for the most part. Am I wrong? I mean, tourism
And
is
that's-
usually getting people to come here to do something, you know.
And that's
so-
where we can get with other, so like if the title of it, is Play in Pulaski County, but then Tom's like wants to share it on his page and say, stay and play in Pulaski County. Here's my Airbnb you can stay at. I think it mixes well with a lot of other types of businesses.
Restaurants are in the same boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, I got you. That makes sense too.
All right, we'll start with that and see if we get any feedback.
Okay.
And then, yeah, we can talk about the rest of that. That's bigger picture. That's a whole different conversation to slog through. We've been here almost an hour and a half, but be thinking about that. Just what are our overall missions? And the campaign thing, I think maybe is more short term, like, but what works within, we may do multiple campaigns, we may just have a sustained campaign, but I think it all does sort of need to work within that framework of what our mission and vision is, like what we see tourism to Pulaski County looks like. Does anyone have anything else for the good of the order today?
Nope.
Any public comment? Does anyone want to make a motion to adjourn at 12:50?
First, I just want to maintain that I still think we should meet every month. We should have a meeting in April also.
Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion on going home?
Mostly because we're hungry, right?
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are done. Thank you, Christy. Thank you. If you have not taken food, please do so. There.
I'm taking.
It was okay, I didn't eat it. I just ate the mac and cheese so far. I'll take the rest off.